What did you think about Brooke's presentation?
It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen at any conference I've ever been at. We were in the room. We got to the room early. There was standing room only. So he starts. No one else can get into the room. So we're going. Then all of a sudden we hear this loud noise from next. What's going on here? There was a partition wall there that separated two rooms. There was people sitting in the other room that couldn't see a thing.
Attempting to knock down the wall.
What they did was they stopped the whole presentation. They removed the entire wall, and the whole next conference room was full of people sitting there that hadn't been able to see a thing. It was the most amazing experience I had ever seen at a conference. It was better than anything that happened this weekend.
What was the actual topic?
How to grow your property management business.
Did the content do it justice?
Oh, yes, it was by far the best. I shouldn't have said I didn't learn anything this weekend. I learned a ton from there, and that was the most amazing part.
Shout out to Brooke.
And I seen him on the way out when I was coming over here, and he waved, and I said, "Hey, best I seen all weekend." Gave him a thumbs up. He said that, so that was good. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Oh wow! Love your shoes. Match your pants.
Thank you. Yeah, awesome. These are my conference shoes.
Cool.
They're my one shoes that are like semi-presentable, don't have holes in them.
Yeah, I know that.
And I wear them at all my conferences, and people always compliment me on them.
Cool. Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Same old, same old. I'll be glad to get home. Been here since Wednesday. It's pretty hard to be just talking to Tammy, but it's hard to be productive, when you're that old line. All I need is a computer to work. Yeah.
There was a lot of things going on here at the conference.
Oh, there was. I didn't get a lot of work done.
This has got to be heaven for you. I mean, to have an entire floor of vacation rental companies that are solving different problems.
Yes.
You got to be wandering around like a kid in a candy store.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, so I thought it would be cool to sit down and talk about all the candy.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. There's every piece of technology down there that you could ever need.
And it is a gigantic floor. So for those who are not with us, where are we right now?
We are in New Orleans.
We are.
At a VRMA.
And more specifically?
Hyatt Regency.
And more specifically?
In Strand 3.
That's right. All the conference rooms are called strands. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly
Strand.
Why.
I don't know either. It's got some cool names. Yeah.
And it's a nice little room that we've got for a little sit-down interview.
It's beautiful in here, yeah.
VRMA has, I think, eclipsed 2,000 attendees.
I have never been to anything this large. It was amazing.
It's massive.
Yeah.
And, okay, first impressions? Main observations?
It was massive. The downstairs, the technology, the vendors that are here it's just... If you ever need help in the industry, you just got to walk downstairs. It's right there.
There's literally someone solving every challenge.
Every problem.
Did you see any people solving problems that you didn't even know existed?
No.
You knew about all of them?
We talk about them every day in the inner circle.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. So for those who don't know you, I don't know how they don't know you. First, share with us a little bit about your business. Where is it located and what do you do?
It's located Florida's Gulf Coast, place called Anna Marie Island. I know you've been there. Little 7-mile island with maybe one of the most competitive markets in the world, compared with Barcelona, would compare with Orlando. There's 7 miles long, half a mile at the widest point. There has to be 5,000 rental properties on there. There has to be 20 rental agencies on the island. So it is
Mecca.
It is Mecca like you can't believe.
And Anna Marie Island is just beautiful too. We did an episode of the show there with Nancy from Anna Marie Island Home Rentals, who I know you work with.
Yeah.
But you don't live in Florida. We
live in Toronto, and we spend about 5 months of the year, but it's only been the last couple of years. We're retired now. My wife's retired, so you save all your life, you plan, you work with a financial advisor, and it comes to you. Your day comes, and our day has came.
Congratulations.
Yes, yeah.
That does sound sort of morbid.
No, it's gratifying. The day that I started work, I started working at General Motors when I was 18 years old. The only thing I ever wanted to do was retire. I retired at 49.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so let's go back to that real quick. This was where? General Motors?
General is in Toronto, just outside of Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how'd you get a job there?
After I got kicked out of school, they hired me.
Wait, you got kicked out of school?
I got kicked out of school.
For what?
I just basically never went, and never wanted to be there, and never. So I just, why don't I just get a job instead of just doing nothing? So I went and I got a job, and it was it was good for they treated us well. It was good money, good pension, raised 3 kids. We have 3 grandkids now, and I was able to retire at 49.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Biggest thing you learned from your professional life at General Motors?
Get an education. Because although it was good, they provided for me and my family. 32 years, I can't say I enjoyed one day of it.
And that is because you didn't have the
education to do something else.
To required to do other things.
And this is what vacation rentals led me to, something that I was passionate about. That I worked 32 years at something I hated, and now I have something that I love.
I love that transition, by the way. Nice segue.
I was doing both when I was working at General Motors. So I probably did it for the last 10 years I was there. I'd get up at 4, 5, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, answer my emails, do work, go to work, had a BlackBerry then, work for my BlackBerry, come home, work to 10 o'clock at night.
And that working was what? Were you booking?
Just sending contracts, answering emails, talking to people, returning phone calls.
And so the day came when you were able to focus solely on the vacation rental stuff and leave General Motors behind.
They came to me in I think it was 2008. That's when the auto industry was imploding, and they wanted to get rid of guys like me at my rate of pay and my seniority so they could hire younger people at a diminished wage and benefits. And they made an offer I couldn't refuse. But in a way, it was really good timing for us too, because our youngest daughter was entering high school, grade 9. I was home with her every day. So when she came home, I drove her to school every morning. I picked her up after school. I brought her home, made sure her homework was done. It was a good thing and good timing. Although, when they're closing plants and moving everything to Mexico, it was good for me, but it wasn't good for everyone. So it was also a sad day too.
And so what was the leap then into, like, you went full all in on the vacation rental?
Yeah, I probably had about 10 properties then. Now I have 30. So I was able to grow, concentrate on business, do a better job of everything, customer service, and using technology, which it came to later. It wasn't like I flipped a switch after I retired and I was suddenly making use of technology.
Well, one of your first reservation softwares, if I'm not mistaken, this is a testament to how long I've known you, was Reservation Key, which is what I was using at the time.
Well, here's how smart I am. The way I picked my first software, I was using spreadsheets, and then I joined the Inner Circle, and I knew that how can you be using spreadsheets? And so I said, Matt, what software are you using? Reservation Key. Works for you, works for me. I just typed it in, signed up. He trained me for a little bit, and I never demoed any other software, and not even one. I just started using it. But in the end, I think it was the best approach because we had the Inner Circle roundtable there that when we were talking yesterday, and I forget her name, but she's starting and she has 13 properties. Kathy. And I would really, really caution against going from spreadsheets to the biggest and best software. If I'd went from spreadsheets to Streamline, I'd have probably went up in the roof and jumped off because you can't do it. It's like having that 1 year with a good middle of the line software that I could learn how software could help me, how strong, how powerful it was, and then have a year later having a good command of it, then you understand.
For those who weren't at our roundtable here in VRMA, There was someone who asked, with 13 properties, what would everybody in the room suggest they would have done prior to choosing a property management software? And all the hands shot up, and everybody starts saying, you got to demo all the different softwares out there. And I'd like to make a quick flashback to what Terry said.
Don't demo the hell out of every software that's out there. There's some good solutions, but with 13 properties, don't be afraid to make a mistake. So what if you choose the wrong software with 13 properties? A year from now, it means nothing to switch to 13. The point is don't be intimidated by any software. Embrace it, use it, it will take you 6 months to have a good understanding of it. In a year, you will have a good command of it. In a year, if this doesn't work, after using software for 1 year, you'll know exactly what you need and you'll know where to find it.
And that was some of the most sound advice that I think I've heard the entire conference. Don't worry about all these things. Go for something that can be your stepping stone.
Yeah. Don't be, when you're starting out, don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's better to make a mistake than, even if you found the perfect the biggest and the best software, you wouldn't even know it because you don't know what good software is.
Right. Okay.
You know,
so this leads us into the subject matter that you and I spend many mornings and evenings talking about on the telephone,
Yes.
almost like pen pals or something.
Yeah.
You are the co-creator of the Property Management Software Selector tool,
Yes.
along with myself.
Yes.
You and I have been trying to compile all of the information that's being gathered into one place over the course of the past year so that people who are looking for a property management software solution at least aren't completely lost.
Right.
We put out the first version of our tool a couple months ago. It was a big hit. We took it offline
Yes.
to officially begin upgrading, and I think we would have otherwise crossed 1,000 completions. So a lot of people, 950 some, took the tool. But we're now starting to look towards our next move. And I am fortunate to have you here at the conference while everything is still fresh. I'd like to talk about some of the things you've noticed or are especially liking about the software landscape right now, and then maybe some of the things that you're not so keen about. And this doesn't have to be anything totally new. It could have been something we learned in our research. But when you're wandering the floor down there, it's the size of like 5 football fields.
Yes.
What's one of the things that pops out to you as a positive for the software movement?
Any help that you need is there. It doesn't matter what the requirement is, but that is a strength in it. The weakness right now in the software industry is definitely the PMS. And I see the frustration of, not just because of V12, but in general, we have grown. The rental vacation industry has grown so fast, and that PMS software stuff has not even come close to keeping up with us. It is lagging so far behind. And you see people out there, they want a new solution, they want to change, and there's hardly anything to change to.
And so that's a frustrating thing, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Does that mean that you basically have to choose, because you have to use something,
You have to use something.
not going back to Excel, you have to choose something that is going to have some issues. You have to be okay with that.
Yes.
Is that the lesson?
For sure. There's nothing so far, and there probably never will be a perfect solution, but there are very good solutions that you can run a very successful business with. And the real problem is probably with people with over 100 properties. There's many very good PM solutions for people with maybe 50, 75 and down, that 1 to 20 property. There's so much help out there that when you get to 100 or more, you've got some real big problems there.
And so for those who didn't follow it, the Keystone Awards, which we released a couple months ago, basically compiled our findings after having ranked, how many properties in the end was it total? Sorry, how many softwares?
It was over 30.
30-some softwares. Under 25 different features or
Right.
functions. We ranked them internally. We built a matrix. We then presented that matrix to the user based on his or her answers to the priority questions up front. And we shared the softwares that seemed to be being matched or suggested most frequently. And they were all down there on the floor there.
And everyone has the Keystone Award right front and center on their presentation.
Do they?
Every single one.
The softwares that were mentioned, hopefully the ones that were mentioned.
Everyone.
Or
that,
everyone.
everyone that won the Keystone Award.
Okay, yeah, everyone that we included.
Everyone
Had the logo?
had the right there.
That is really cool.
That is really good. That's very gratifying.
And we basically made like a real simple little logo along with a word that says Keystone, and we encourage people to take that and to use it. And on the showroom floor of VRMA,
Exactly.
you see it featured prominently as a proud badge of acclaim.
Exactly right.
That's
and when
neat.
I walked by there, and walked by them, and I shook their hand, and they said, "Thank you."
Did they know who you were?
Yeah, yeah.
But not from face, or you had to introduce yourself?
When they read the name,
That is cool, Terry.
I was walking down. This was the coolest part of the whole weekend. This was so gratifying too. The Keystone Award that we said, I don't like to name names, but I will name it in this instance is Direct. We said in the Keystone Award, here they come, and it's one of the most amazing softwares right now. But anyway, I didn't even know where their booth was, and I was walking in the opposite direction, and Wes, the CEO, came and said,
Who's Wes?
He's the CEO of the company.
CEO of Direct.
He came to me and said, "Can we talk?" And he brought me over. Yeah.
How cool.
I was walking in the opposite direction. That was the most gratifying part of the weekend. Yeah.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
And of course, we've talked about ways that we can improve all of the work that we do with the property management software stuff. We plan on having a much more structured awards ceremony this coming year.
Yeah.
Back to the original question, what were some other features or improvements that you noticed on the floor that seemed like good news for any particular company?
In particular, I've been saying this for so long, is the CRM. And we hear it here until you're when you come to these conferences, you're almost begging for mercy. The guest experience, who owns the guest retention, blah, blah. It just never stops,
Yeah.
But in actuality, I think the most important piece of technology that anyone will possess going forward will be the CRM. Retain every bit of contact information, every conversation, every text, every email that you've ever had, phone call is invaluable. And we're always talking about why are we so dependent on OTAs, and I think that is the communication that is missing.
And this has been, in my opinion, one of your greatest philosophical breakthroughs.
Yes.
Within our space. That is recognizing that a CRM is not just a feature of a tool.
No.
It's not just a spoke on a wheel. There are instances in which it is the centerpiece. It is the backbone of the software. And your argument here is that all of those other things will probably, all of these other spokes will probably change and morph, but you believe the future to be, based on these levels of personalization, based on the power of direct repeat referral bookings.
Yes.
You believe that pillar of the future to be the CRM.
I do.
And you want to give a shout out to you're almost a fanboy of this company.
Track is, I believe, the software of the future. There's no question about that. They are. And
did you meet them?
I did meet them. Yes.
Cool guys.
Really good guys. Met them also a few weeks ago at ResFest. Really, really good guys. Great company, great vision, and no doubt about it. I think they are the future of software. And the other one that's coming, and they just introduced their CRM, is Direct.
And Direct impressed you this trip?
Very much so.
Cool.
Very much so.
So that is to say, a lot of these softwares are improving rapidly, and we can, in our second version of our tool, include those upgrades, those updates. If you are a software provider who wants to be included in the tool, and you want to send us a little email, give us a heads up. We can line you up for our demos. Some characteristics of our new tool going to include multiple people. On the review side of the game, we realized one of our, I think, biggest pieces of constructive feedback was there's a difference between just doing a demo and actually using the tool.
Oh, no question about it.
And of course, we can't actually go and use all the
You
tools,
never
so we can
know.
only do the demos.
You never know it until you use it.
And so we're going to begin bringing in this whole new layer of data, which is the feedback of current users.
That is going to be critical going forward, because I don't know how many people approached me this weekend that said the sales tactics were so good, the onboarding and is so bad,
Of a software?
of a PMS. They're great at sales.
They're great at sales.
When you get them, when you sign on the dotted line and you get, it's nothing but major frustration. And just like you said, you don't know it until you're using it. Sales is one thing. Actually using it is something different. And that's what I heard out people coming up to me and saying, well, I used your property software tool. I chose one. They just yesed me to death. And I've never been so frustrated in my life, is the feedback that I got this weekend.
That's frustrating to hear.
Yep.
We'll make sure to make those adjustments too.
Yep.
So these are companies that give a great demo, they talk a good talk, but when it comes to actually walking the walk, they block the stock.
I guess that's
I was trying to come up with a rhyme for the last.
That is this weekend. That is what I heard repeatedly over and over when people would come and say, "Can I talk to you for a minute?"
So I think that's interesting because there's a very obvious reason, perhaps, that is a lot of these companies are not ready for tons of new clients at once. They're all small, they're all growing, they only have limited resources. And like any small business that all of a sudden begins getting referrals or way more business than they have before, it exploits their weaknesses. No, and I was wondering if you think that might be the case.
I think that's exactly what it is. Software companies, they're growing so much. There's so much inventory coming online. People need a PMS and need technology. And what they're being forced to do, and they're even opening up offices in other countries. I'll use one, Australia. That I know somebody and they're breaking into Hawaii over in that market there. But when you do that, you have to hire people. And so those people that you hire, they're trying to learn the software. The customer's trying to learn the software. And if the person that they're being paid to help these people, they can't because they basically know the same amount about the software as the people who are trying to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in their defense, they're growing. It's not just like bad customer service.
Right.
They're just growing, and it's a frustrating point for them right now.
So if you are a software executive, be careful at how quickly you hit the gas on that growth, on how many different initiatives you want to focus on. Perhaps focus on doing a really good job with every single guest every single manager that you sign.
I can see customer service taking a big hit, and that's something no company wants. But they're going down that road right now.
All right, so Terry's walking like a kid in a candy store down the thing. Tell me another company that you stumbled upon that either you knew about before and you were reinvigorated and extra excited, or that you had never heard about and you are extra excited.
There's a new company. They haven't even went live yet, and what they do is they'll fill your inventory. Let's say you have a week here, maybe a 2-week period here that you can't rent. It's getting 7 to 14 days out. I can't even tell you the name there. Talk to them. I will talk to them again after this, but it seemed to me like just a really good concept.
You can't tell me the name because you don't know
I don't remember.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I can't remember.
So they got to get a better
It was
name.
something Go-Go or something. I can't
Go-Go?
It was something like that. I can't remember.
Bookings a go-go.
Something like that. Yeah, I can't remember, but I will be making a call to them. I thought it was a really good concept. But
How did they fill it? Who are they filling it with?
They scrape. They have your inventory. They have their own website. They have their own database of people, and I forget how they reach people and what they did. They explained it all.
Okay.
But I heard so much stuff.
All right. Another company you like that you saw on the floor today?
I really like these guest apps. I think it was Clearview was one of them. Another one was, I'm stuck for names now.
TouchStay?
No, it wasn't them. No, they were here. No, they were at ResFest. And Clearview was one of them, and another one was, I'm just stuck
Clearly,
for the name.
the Clearview is the one with the more memorable name. What does it do?
It's just a guest app, the way to communicate with a guest app, even though you can do a lot of what they are doing with a good PMS. People that are not using software don't understand they're turning in that direction. So they're filling a void there that they can do a really good job of communicating and filling some of the elements of a PMS that they're doing a really good job at.
So this is another one of your sort of mini philosophies, is that there are certain specialties within the property management software umbrella, certain functions that are simply better done by single focal companies. Cleaning, for instance.
Yes.
Give me your breezeway.
I'll give you a couple of examples. I'm not sure if you listened to Amy's transcript in Atlanta at the revenue management thing. Okay, no. But anyway, there was a transcript of their meeting that they had there, and she was saying Breezy kind of felt unappreciated. No, it was. There was a PMS, it was Guesty, was kind of feeling unappreciative. They're building all these modules and people aren't using them. And I think there's a breakdown between property managers and these guys are programmers and they're not listening to each other. So they're building these modules. You just said cleaning. There's barely a cleaning module out there that anyone can use. What I do properly, Breezeway. Almost every good PMS has an owner portal, has a guest portal. There's barely no. So everyone see the lineup out there for Hostfully, Touch Stay, Hello Here, Clearview. It's just that people are lining up there because they're building these modules that nobody can use.
And so, what do you think is the natural next step for? Is the natural next step that these specialists, for lack of a better word, grow? Do they get acquired? Do they stay, fragmented? And many of them, where do you see that going?
I don't think many PMSs can afford to buy some of these companies, like on the supply side. What I see is more integration, that a good PMS will integrate with Breezeway, with properly. I think you're just going to see that they call it plug and go. It's easy. It's an open API. They transmit.
Plug and go.
Yeah, plug and go kind of thing there. And I think you're just going to see more and more. I don't think it's when you see, like, for instance, I'll use Guesty, the all-in-one solution. I don't think you ever will see that, because when you're trying to do too many things, you never do it right. You integrate with the people that's all they do, and they're the best at it.
I mean, that's a great lesson for all kinds of business partnerships.
Yeah.
But what about, like, hotels, for instance? Has the hotel software landscape, is that an instance in which a couple big companies have consolidated and have all of the different portals that do amazing, or is it this same kind of fragmented?
I'm not familiar with the hotel.
Okay,
platforms.
so we'll skip that. For people who don't know what the Inner Circle is, how would you describe it?
It's a collaboration of owners who are passionate about what they do, and we help each other solve problems, whether it's software, whether it's bad guest reviews, whether it's website creation, whether it's in-home technology, AI, anything you can dream of. There's somebody in there that is willing to help.
There is, and you are an ambassador of it. We have a little algorithm that shows basically how much you are liked based on the amount that you post and the amount that people like of your post, and you are at the absolute very top and have been for many, many years. I'm curious if you have observed, Inner Circle is quite a high echelon of quality in terms of the manager or owner. What have you observed as a characteristic of the most successful property managers out there, Inner Circle or not? Are there particular things that they are doing or ways of thinking that you think keep them ahead?
Yeah, well, the one thing that surprised me most, and it still does since I joined the Inner Circle, is how passionate people are about wanting to provide the ultimate guest experience. They care. It's not a transaction. It's not making money. They would rather lose money than provide a bad guest experience. And that has been my biggest surprise since I've joined the Inner Circle, is people spend a lot of money to come on vacation. They save, they entrust you, and they want to deliver. And if they don't deliver, they will do anything to make it right. That has been that's my biggest takeaway of the Inner Circle.
And that's a pretty admirable thing.
And to add to that too, you said they do things better than, and they think that really they're able to do that because of the knowledge that's provided within the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't in the Inner Circle, you wouldn't have that advantage.
This is I can't help but giggling because it sounds like a commercial, but it's true.
Well, if I'm a pretty straightforward guy. If it was a joke, I'd say it was a joke. So no, when I joined the Inner Circle, I was using spreadsheets.
Yes, you were.
I was using spreadsheets when
Look
I joined
at you
the
now, the software whisperer.
Yeah.
And just to wrap up, do you have any big hope for these property management software companies moving into the future? We talked about how difficult their job probably is and how sort of chaotic growth can be. Do you have any big hopes that you'd like to bestow upon?
Yeah, I have a big one, and I have a real big concern. And it is these property management softwares, and the way that they're going and the way that they're developing is they're shutting out the people with 1 to 20 properties, 1 to 3, 1 to 5 properties. It's so expensive to use. And I was just talking to a software development company, and they're relatively new, and they're just starting out. And they said to me, in a few months, we don't want to take anyone on unless they have 100 properties. And it's like, and even you look at what Verbo is doing. You can't integrate unless you have 5 properties. What's the difference between having 1 property and 5 properties? There is absolutely no difference between having 1 and 5 properties. So why aren't you giving these people the technology's there? Why aren't you letting them use it? Give them the same chance to succeed that they're giving the guy with 100 properties to succeed. That's wrong what they're doing.
And so I'll play the role of software CEO. It's more cost effective for us to target large property managers because independent property owners are all too different and have too unique of needs. What do you say to that?
Yeah. I'm sure that you are exactly right. And the one line that they always love to use is, "It takes us so long to train someone." Somebody's coming from spreadsheets, and they have the training that goes into it. And so I don't buy it. But
I'll flip it back, and I will say that you may prefer the larger managers because it's more cost effective.
Yes.
But losing sight of the very essence of the industry, which is the single property owner, the one who wants to grow in any way, whether it's in their processes or in their profit or build more properties or acquire more properties. That is the beginning. And overlooking those core stakeholders is perhaps missing out on the biggest future, because right now it really only represents a small percentage of the property managers that will exist years from now.
I'll give you an example of that. There's never been a real estate crash that wasn't precipitated by the first-time home buyer couldn't buy into the market.
Nice example.
Every time when you read the paper or you read the news that first-time home buyers can't afford to get into the market now, what's coming next. Guaranteed it's going to crash.
Proudest family moment that you've had in the last 6 months or so?
Our daughter's now a flight attendant, with Air Canada, and it was the biggest joy. Our son's a police officer in Toronto, and I should make this correlation. Police officers in Canada are held with the highest esteem, exactly the way Americans hold their military. And so it's that big. They're paid 6 figures just to start, just to get hired and walk onto the street. So that was a very proud moment for us. But her getting hired as a flight attendant, that was really special to us.
And what did that job mean to her?
It meant everything to her. We have never seen her this passionate about anything in her life, and it changed her personality. She smiled. She's on top of the world at all times. She's happy. She's a different person now.
It's amazing what the right job can do.
She's a different person.
And more importantly, do you get discounts on your flights?
We get to fly for free. Yes, we do. And not just us, our son, his wife.
Your vacation rental colleagues?
No. Okay. No, they can't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts as you leave New Orleans from this VRMA event, which was probably the biggest ever?
I think we're kind of spoiled because of what we do every day and where we hang out. Like we hang out in the inner circle. So a lot of times we learn before it actually becomes public knowledge. So we're really ahead of the stream, really.
And you, Mr. Whyte, are ahead of the stream. It's been a pleasure working with you on a collaborative level over the past year. I'm looking forward to doing you proud with this next version of the tool. And you set such an example, more than just your hard work, more than your obsession with a lot of these things, but your straight shooting style of sharing information that really can't be argued with. I think that is a healthy thing for this industry, so we need you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. And the proudest thing that, I've thought this for a long time, but never told anybody publicly. When you approached me about developing this tool, I thought to myself, you never associate your name with anything that could go wrong. I know it went bad when you first started out. There's a few instances where you associated your name and you regretted it. And when you came,
previous girlfriends too.
Well, I'm not going down that road, but I'm just saying business-wise. And when you said you trusted me, and I thought, oh boy. And when The proudest thing I am, I thought we could help people that didn't know technology, that didn't use it, but out there now, people validating what we're doing that have 1,000 properties, they know software, they've used software for 10 years, and they test our tool and they go, wow, that is the most gratifying part. And thank you for trusting me.
Well, the feeling is mutual. We will do the industry proud by introducing our second round of the property management software tool. You can expect that over the course of the next few months. We'll be keeping people updated. We are taking it very seriously now based on the feedback and the results that we saw in version 1.0. Terry Whyte, thank you for doing my podcast.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
I like to do a little high five at the end. You want to?
Yes.